Hi, this is Jason Anderson again, founder of PreVeteran, and today we'd like to talk to you about our second blog, which is why you feel so uncertain about your military transition. So to start off, let me give you a little bit more information about me because it provides a lot of context for how this all came about. I mentioned in the last blog that I retired in 2014 after a 20-year service in the U.S. Air Force, and right around the 2011 to 2012 time period, I was feeling very stressed. And I mentioned to you that before, but to go a little bit deeper, how much was I stressed? Well, it impacted my sleep, how I performed at work, and actually my marriage. So it was that stressful. And I think a lot of you can identify with that. There's just a lot of unknowns that kind of keep swirling around in your head, and it becomes a little bit problematic. So following my 2014 retirement, I was very intrigued as to why this was happening to myself and a lot of other people I talked to. So I began doing a lot of independent research. And this research was data from 1991 through 2020. Of course, 1991 being significant because that's when TAP started. But what you found out is that a lot of the companies that were doing the research were third parties and organizations. And the research they provided was really for the system. And what I mean by the system is the TAP practitioners and the organizations that actually run TAP, because as we spoke about before, TAP is a system, and it's a system to get everyone in the military out of the military. So in that regard, the government has a very challenging role doing that. And as a result, it really lacks specificity, and we mentioned that in our first blog and the research that supports that. So what's really interesting about this, and I found this gem a couple years ago, because as we've discussed before, PreVeteran is all about giving you individual tools and support to help you plan for your own successful military transition. So I found this gem, and it's called The Emotional Cycle of Change, and this is what this blog is about today. And it came from Don Kelly and Daryl Connor, who were two psychologists from Canada. So what I'd like to do with you today is run through this, and I'd like to do it with a military transition lens so you can kind of see how these two fit together, and hopefully it'll give you some insights as to how you're feeling specifically as you prepare for transition. Probably the first step of this is acknowledging that military transition is a huge transition in life. You entered the military ecosystem as an individual, and then once you went through your obvious initial training, they then took a portion of that individual personality off and supplanted group ethos to make you into a soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine. So naturally, as you're getting close to the end of your military career, you're going to go from that group ethos again, where they've had all that memory and all those different experiences you have from the military, and you're going to transition back to being an individual again. So naturally, it's going to come with it with quite a bit of apprehension and anxiety because you are making a big transition back to being an individual again. So to help you understand how you feel right now, fully understanding each of you as an individual listening to this are going to be at different stages, but I hope that this going through Kelly and Connor's emotional cycle of change model will give you some insight as to why you're feeling this way, because whatever you're feeling is probably very normal within the context of this model. So let's go through each step of this model with that military transition lens. Starting with stage one of the model is what Kelly and Connor call uninformed optimism. And from a military transition standpoint, this is where you start looking or trying to look beyond the military, and you're excited. You know, the deployments and the training are now complete. Your mind begins to wander to the what ifs and all these different exciting new opportunities that may be out there for you to take advantage of. And it represents your second life. It represents life after the military. So there might be a lot of excitement kind of going around in your head right now. So the operative phrase that we've labeled here is giddy up. Let's go try on this new life. And we're really excited about the potential opportunities that lie out there. Stage two is informed pessimism. And this is the next logical step because as you're excited in stage one about all these new opportunities, you begin to go research these. And as you go research them and sit for hours in front of Google or talk to different people, perhaps mentors, perhaps some other people, you really start seeing how much more complex it might be actually to go carry out these things. So as you sit in front of the computer and you continually go down that rabbit hole, you start going, wow, this is a lot more complex than I thought it was. And to add complexity to that, if there's multiple avenues you're pursuing, you really begin kind of using your time and precious resources to go find more information, and that information is difficult. So the operative phrase here we've labeled is, what have I gotten myself into? So stage 3 is what they refer to as hopeful realism. So more pragmatically, we refer to it as the valley of despair, and here's why. So again, going from stages 1 to stages 2, where you had all that euphoria in stage 1, and then you kind of start seeing the obstacles in stage 2, this is really where you've spent a whole lot of time and effort to research these different leads in your mind, and you really feel like you're spinning your wheels and getting nowhere. This is the valley of despair. You've put in a ton of time and effort, and you really don't feel like you're getting any of the results you want, and you're not getting closer to your desired results for military transition. So this is where people a lot of time just emotionally check out, or they pivot to something else and continue spinning their wheels. So obviously this is a very kind of difficult time, which is why we've labeled it the valley of despair. Stage 4 is informed optimism. This is when finally, after the doldrums of stage 3, you begin to kind of grab onto a specific something, and you really start feeling like this is where the rubber is meeting the road. And as the rubber is meeting the road, you're starting to understand and get a deeper appreciation or understanding of the track that you are on, or whatever you will be trying to do post-military. And things start to click, and you feel like you're making progress. You're no longer spinning your wheels. So the operative phrase here is, I'm getting the hang of this. And then obviously stage 5 is completion. And when you finally get to stage 5, you're very confident in your chosen path. Yes, there might be bumps along the way, but you know how to handle them because you're really confident in what you've done, what you've chosen, and what direction you're actually heading. This is what we all want. This is where we have a sense of fulfillment and happiness in what we've chosen, and it really fulfills us. So kind of taking a step back again, let's kind of look at military transition. There's no sugarcoating it. It's going to be a challenge, and it's going to be highly individual, which is where PreVeteran comes in, right? And I want to kind of give you a little bit more information about PreVeteran, like I said I would in the other videos, just to kind of gradually kind of explain what we're trying to do. First and foremost, PreVeteran is all about self-transformation and early alignment to the private sector. We strongly believe this is going to put you in the best possible position for post-military success. We think that they both have to happen. And to accomplish this, what we do at PreVeteran is we provide you a framework, we provide you individual tools, and we provide you support. So let's talk about framework for a minute. So the overall framework of PreVeteran is to have you do that self-transformation and early alignment to the private sector much earlier in your career. And the reason we do that within this framework is because the self-transformation and early alignment take time. Self-transformation, just in the word alone, transformation, means it takes time and understanding gradually as you go along to get to your desired end state. But the other thing we want to impress upon you for framework is you don't have to wait, and you do have a choice, right? Everyone has a choice, and sometimes that's hard to recognize when you're in the military, when you haven't had much of a choice throughout your career. But for transition, it's so important to get it right. You need to have a choice, and we want to be that choice for you. The next thing is individual tools. So the way we break down individual tools is we have you have what we call internal obstacles and external obstacles that you face and you have to overcome if you want to be successful post-military. And then we have support. The real strength of PreVeteran is the people within the ecosystem that think alike. And what I mean by that is everyone in there wants to be in PreVeteran, and they have interest in PreVeteran. They have an interest in self-transformation and early alignment to the private sector. So you share that experience and the desire to want to kind of help yourself become the most successful you post-military. To finish this up, I'd like to say if you're a transitioning military member and would like to stay more engaged with PreVeteran, we invite you to do 3 things. First, if you're sure you're going to be an employee post-military, the first thing we'd encourage you to do is go to and download our 5-step guide to getting the job you want after the military. You can find it on our main page, and it also will be in the link below in the comments. The next is, if you're actually ready to start doing things very proactively, we have an employment prep pilot course that is now available on our course page. Now, depending on what time it is, you might be waitlisted or you could actually sign up for it now, but please go visit our course page to see what the situation is. And we have that in the links as well. Otherwise, for the more kind of routine sort of things, so you can stay advised as to what PreVeteran is doing, please subscribe to our YouTube channel just below this video on the right side here. And then finally, follow our PreVeteran company LinkedIn page for the most updated news, information, articles that come from that. We want to thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. And we'd like to ask if you have any friends or colleagues that you know that are in the same situation and can benefit from this content, please pass our name along. We would really appreciate it. Thank you.